Good morning, Morgan, and good morning to any of your friends that have joined us for this video today. All right, in this video, we're kind of going to build on a little bit of what we saw in video 39 about reading and writing files. All right, so with that said, let's start with the reading, shall we?
Reading and writing files. Open returns a file object and is most commonly used with two arguments, open, filename, mode. F equals open, workfile, W. The first argument is a string containing the filename. The second argument is another string containing a few characters describing the way in which the file will be used. Mode can be R when the file will only be read, W for only writing, an existing file with the same name will be erased, and it opens the file for appending. Any data written to the file is automatically added to the end. R plus opens the file for both reading and writing. The mode argument is optional, R will be assumed if it's omitted. Normally, files are opened in text mode, that means you read and write strings from and to the file, which are encoded in a specific encoding. If encoding is not specified, the default is platform dependent, see open. Be appended to the mode opens the file in binary mode. Now the data is read and written in the form of bytes objects. This mode should be used for all files that don't contain text. In text mode, the default when reading is to convert platform-specific line endings, \n on Unix, \r/n on Windows, to just \n. When writing in text mode, the default is to convert occurrences of \n back to platform-specific line endings. This behind-the-scenes modification to file data is fine for text files, but will corrupt binary data like that in JPEG or exe files. Be very careful to use binary mode when reading and writing such files. It is good practice to use the
Stop that. All right. So, to review. All right. These are flat files we're talking about. More often than not, it's going to be a simple text file. But you can bring in other files, okay, like JPEG or exec files. But for all those types of files, you're going to need binary, which is to say you're going to read it as ones and zeros, not as a string. Okay? And there are all these different options for the second operator because the machine wants to know what your plans are for this file. Okay, are you going to be adding data to the file? Are you going to be reading data from the file? Or are you going to be doing both? Okay, and if you don't, it's going to assume that you're just reading the file. Okay? All right. And with that, let's keep going with the... Oh, one last thing. When you open a file like you're doing with this one and you're saying that you're going to write to it, you're actually creating the file. Okay? Even though it doesn't say create, it says open. This file didn't exist on your drive until this statement. Okay, it didn't exist beforehand. La 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 la. I know, boring. Let's keep going.
It is good practice to use the with keyword when dealing with file objects. The advantage is that the file is properly closed after its suite finishes, even if an exception is raised at some point. Using with is also much shorter than writing equivalent try finally blocks.
Okay, they make a great point here. Okay, when you open a file, you also have to close it. And if you forget to close the file and you shut down the program before you close it, it's going to cause problems. And a way to get around that problem is by using the with clause, which I guess forces the close. Okay? And if you, now once you close it, if you try to open it up after it's closed or try to read it, I don't mean open, but if you try to read it but it's closed, it's going to cause an error.
If you're not using the with keyword, then you should call f.close to close the file and immediately free up any system resources used by it. Warning. Calling f.write without using the with keyword or calling f.close might result in the arguments of f.write not being completely written to the disk, even if the program exits successfully. After a file object is closed, either by a with statement or by calling f.close, attempts to use the file object will automatically fail.
All right, and here's the error you're going to get. And we'll actually see that in the example code that I've created. All right, and with that, let's go ahead and get over and run some code. And here we are in our code. By the way, I decided to jazz up the notes section of the video and include the new company that you're going to inherit. The Coders Guild, Limited Liability Corporation. Introduction to Python series. I'm starting to get serious about this. Okay, in the comments, I brought the code from the 39 forward so we can compare and contrast it to the code that we got from this example. And in this one, we didn't use the with clause. But we did use the close file. Okay? All right. And what I did to make this exercise a little more interesting is I brought some of that code forward. Okay? And and I added this print thing so that we could see what the output looks like. Okay? And we're going to run this code, and I left the F closed because, trying to close a file twice is, it's not going to give you an error. It's just an old coding habit I have, and I think it was an example. But what we're going to do is we're going to run this code, and then I'm going to show you the output, and then we're going to run it a second time so that you can see what happens if you try to read it. Okay, so I'm going to uncomment this and run the code. Okay, so with that said, we're going to go ahead and start running some code and looking at output. And here we are. The program has run successfully. We've got our output. Everything's fine. All right, now let's see what happens if we forget to close the file. All right, I took the comment off of that read statement. I ran the code, and sure enough, boom. All right, now when you get a little bit further on in your programming, this information might be important to you. Okay, but I only want to highlight the important part, the part that was in the tutorial. Value error, I/O operation on closed file. What's an I/O operation? A read or write. In this case, we tried to read a file that was closed, and it threw this error. And it is so nice of us to tell us where the file is, and what line it blew up on. And oh, look, there it is, file.read. All right. All this other stuff means other stuff. If I knew what it meant, I would tell you. But I don't, because I don't bother with it. There's only so much space in our brains, so we have to be a little judicious in what we learn. If it becomes a problem, then we'll learn what all this stuff means. But it's there if we need it. All right. And with that completes our video. Go out, have some fun, and try not to get in too much trouble today. All right. Bye.